Hello, you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beer Brigade. I'm John Solo, and you are not. And I was just noticing that I'm wearing my glasses today, and there's like some sort of reflective glare thing. We went to the eye doctor recently. Hello, there's my huge hand right there. We went to the eye doctor recently, and I'm getting new contacts. I'm very excited about that. And I'm going to get new glasses eventually, but glasses are fucking expensive. Jody's well, Jody's is like $500. So we got that in my contacts first. They are just like, I remember paying like $100 for a pair of glasses, and that was like a lot. But no, they're way more now. Plus, the doctor was telling me that apparently both of us qualify for it's the new age bifocals. They don't have fucking lines across them. We're in our 40s now, and apparently they're called progressive. Now, I thought progressive lenses were like, I thought that was like when you went out in the sun and they like turned dark, like you were like 90 years old kind of thing. I thought that's no, progressive lenses. So, anyways, yeah, sorry about the glare. Maybe it's just from my head. It's bald head. Hello, how are you? Everybody all right? Everybody doing all right? I see everybody's in here already. We got more coming in. So this week, a couple things are going on. First off, of course, we've got the Ramblin' Gremlin that's going to be airing on Friday, just like usual. Little Alyssa Gremlin is knocking it out of the park with her show, man. All I do is hang around and make fun of things. She actually does all the work in the background, and it's wonderful. I like it. We got that going on. Today we are working on Victoria Sue's Hunter's Creek Book 2. That's Hunter's Shadow. And then later on this week, we are going to be working on Wrecked 3 from Kelly Fox. And damn me if I can remember the name of that book, but it's the third one in the Wrecked series. I know that much. We just finished up over the weekend. We finished up recording, anyways, on Hedonist, King's Mate, Book 2 by Ro Horvat. And Jesus, Harry Christ. If you guys are into the sexy scenes and you're into that sort of thing, and I mean kink, this is beyond kink. I've never read anything like this in my entire life. This is to the point where at one point I considered changing religions, and I'm not even religious. I mean, there was milk, lactation, strangling, there was a lot going on in this book. Now, I'm going to be putting out a story time in a couple days. I really encourage you to watch the story time video and just see what you're getting yourself into. I wouldn't listen to this with at least, you're going to need some holy water. You're going to maybe have a virgin to sacrifice. I don't know. It's easily the filthiest thing I've ever read in my life. And for me, that's saying something. I read filth for a living. So there's a heads up there. I'm just giving you a heads up of what's coming here in the next few weeks. But we're going to we recorded a story time segment for it. We're going to be putting that out in the next couple days. And Ro Horvat, may God have mercy on your soul. We also, last week, finished up Wrecked Book 2 from Kelly Fox. We did that one. And did I say this already? First person, present tense French. What the fuck? But yeah, Kelly Fox decided to torture me. I'm not sure what karma I'm paying back there, but it's a damn good book. I give her shit, but it's a really good book. French, fucking French. French is stupid. So we got that going on. We got a busy couple weeks happening here, and we're working a lot in Discord. So if you haven't been over there, please, by all means, jump into, oh yeah, Tracy reminded me, Rwandan or Kenya Rwandan. I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm not a Marvel fan. We've got a lot going on over the course of the next couple of weeks, and if you don't hang out in Discord at all, if you've never tried that before, I encourage you to jump over and see a couple of the live sessions. They're a lot of fun, and you'll be able to see what we're working on and become a part of the crowd, and we really encourage it. It's a great place to interact. Now, the guest that I have on today, I have never met this guest before, and these are really fun for me, so I hope you enjoy it as well, and I hope my guest does too. Without any more from me, I give you Bree Harmony. Hello, Bree. Now,
Hi,
I had a,
everyone.
I had a confusion. Now, I think I call you Bree, but I didn't know because I saw B Harmony on my schedule, and I was like, it's B Harmony. Then I saw Bree Harmony. I was like, well, fuck, I don't know her name. So are you just trying to be fancy and French and shit with the initial, or is that how that worked? Or do you write under Bree or do you write under B?
So I write under B, and my pen name was created day one, but Facebook would not allow me to have just the initial when I created my social media. And so I had to default back to Bree, which is my real name. So it's not too far off the mark there.
Yeah. Well, John's my real name. My real name's John Bricker, and when I did the John Solo thing, it was well because it's fucking cool. That's a cool ass name. Um, but yeah, like everybody knows my real name too, so it doesn't really make a difference. But Facebook, man, they wouldn't allow you to. Now, were they suspicious that it was a fake account? Do you think was that the whole deal there?
Yeah, they said it wasn't a real name. It had to be at least 2 letters, and punctuation didn't count. So
Well, that puts out
you
half the
got to play
authors we
by
know.
Facebook's rules. It's the only social media I have that's got Brie on it.
Well, it's the only social media I do, and I don't even do it. Trace handles 90% of our social media. What I do is I come in and I record these videos, and if I ever get in social media now, it's just in my group. I kind of avoid everything else because I get sucked down that. Do you do that with social media where you just get sucked down and then you're like every chance you get you're scrolling? That's my scrolling gesture, by the way. Every chance
That's
you get, you're doing that.
TikTok right now, right?
Really?
It's you go on it, and I was against it because my kids have it, and that's kids app. I am not going to get involved in that. And 5 minutes into it, I'm hooked. It's my new love language now. All I do is text people like links to videos. I don't even use actual language unless I'm writing books anymore.
Well, so you said we were talking off the air. You have a 14-year-old. Is 14-year-old son or daughter?
Son, I have 2 boys. 14-year-old, well, he'll be 14 tomorrow, and a 9-year-old who's going on 35.
Well, that sounds more pleasant than the 14-year-old, I would think.
It's a coin toss any given day. That's for
Well, I
sure.
I told you mine went just straight juvenile delinquent for a while. We we had this thing early on. I am divorced. Not now. I'm married. But I was divorced early on. I got married when I was 17, and I got a divorce when I was 19. So we were married 2 years. A year in, my ex-wife got pregnant with Drew, my son. He lived back and forth between our places. I met my current love of my life. We've been together for 25 years, Jody. Like 6 months later, we've been together ever since. Drew bounced back and forth between his mother's and our place until he was about 10 years old, 11 years old, somewhere in there, which makes for a rough growing up. I was not the best
I'm
dad to begin
sure.
with. Um, Somewhere along the way, after he stayed here for like a year and a half, now he would not be embarrassed of this story, so I'm not trying to tell stories about him. He knows this, and we talk about it publicly. His grades just started to go just horrible, and he was a decent student before then, but just started to tank. I had no idea why. And I'm starting to ask him, what the hell's going on with your homework, son? What's going on here? Why are your grades tanking? And he always had like 14 mechanical pencils in his pocket at this point. You're obviously not doing your fucking homework, but you got 14 pencils in your pocket. Turns out he was snorting pills. 12 years old, snorting pills. Where do you even
Wow.
go there? Yeah, I know.
I,
Where do you even, yeah. So I'm telling you, if your kid isn't snorting pills out of mechanical pencils at 12 years old, you're doing better than me.
yeah. No, he's pretty good. They're both in sports, play baseball. I'm a big baseball parent. You know, a lot of my readers and people I interact with, they know that about me. I'm spending 5, 6 days at the baseball fields with them, so they're so busy. I'd be hard pressed for them to find time to do anything these days. But you know, and I'm grateful for that. I'm not complaining in the least.
It sounds like you're very involved, which is fantastic as well.
I try to be.
5 or 6 days a week, huh? That's a lot of time
It's
at a
rough.
baseball field. Yeah.
It's rough.
A couple weeks ago, I had someone on that. Hang on. Oh, you son of a bitch. Look at that. Look, flies, bugs, they're not allowed in the recording booth. Sorry. That was a big deal there. I got one. Look at that. I'm like Mr. fucking Miyagi doing that. 5 to 6 days a week at a baseball field. I had somebody on a couple weeks ago that was a hockey mom, and she was doing quite a bit of the hockey thing. But
Hmm.
baseball, it sounds like they're in a traveling team. Is that correct?
They are. Hmm.
Yeah, that's like dedication right there. So do you have your baseball mom and dad friends that you hang out with?
Oh God, no. I don't do the baseball mom thing. Like I will. I am the most introverted introvert to ever introvert. So we go to the baseball fields, and most parents say like behind the dugout, kind of in the bleacher section. I take my chair and go all the way to the outfield, and I will watch the game from the opposite side of the field. So I don't have to interact with people. I barely interact with my husband at the games because he's Mr. Competitive and Mr. Outgoing. And cannot relate, dude. I don't understand. I'm just here to watch a game.
I didn't get a chance to do much of that with Drew. I wasn't into. Did you play sports when you were a kid?
I did not know. Mr. Harmony did, though. He is basketball, baseball, football. You know, I'm just here. I'm along for the ride.
Did you two meet when you were in school, or when did you meet?
No, we met my just after my senior year in high school. We kind of have like we joke around and say we have a very incestuous friendship group because he was friends with my cousin, and that's how we were introduced. He and I got married, and then my cousin ended up marrying his best friend, and we all got pregnant at the same time. So her two daughters are the same age as my two sons, and you know, we're just all very super close.
Well, it's good to have friends like that, man. I was very close with a couple couples there. When did you know? Jody and I were talking about this the other day. When did you know, like you knew, like he's the one. It's on.
Well, I get to be real honest with you, John, since apparently nothing's off limits. Um,
He's not the
uh,
one. Okay, I got it.
no,
Say no more.
not saying that because, it just took a few years into our marriage to get to that point. See, I got pregnant pretty quickly in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not the marriage and then the baby carriage. It was a little bit of the opposite. Grew up in a very traditional household. A lot of pressure from the family when I got pregnant, and so we did get married. And like most people who get married in their teens, like you said, it's not easy to make it through that kind of life, but we did. And I would say, it was a couple years into our marriage where we really got an opportunity to be a married couple and be separated from family pressure and friends that probably weren't the best influence for where we were in our lives. And we had that kind of hump to overcome. And we're happy. We have a great life together. And we finally just got to have our honeymoon 13 years later this past week. We just got back from it. So,
Where did you go?
well, we went to the Bahamas this last week. We got back yesterday.
My God, that is huge.
Yeah. So we've
That's
never done anything like that. 13 years later, we finally got to have that trip just for the two of us.
Had you ever done anything like that? Have you ever traveled like that before?
Nope, neither one
That
of us.
that is amazing. Tell me all about it. Where did you go in the Bahamas? What did you do?
So we actually stayed at a Sandals Resort out there in Nassau. So it was an all-inclusive place. We just figured if we're going to go and do it, we're just going to do it right, where we don't have to think a whole lot about what we're doing out there. Unfortunately, the weather was not great for our trip. It was super windy. It rained a lot while we were there. But, we made the most of it. We drank a lot. We did get some time to bond, just the two of us, go and lay out on the beach. And I mean, it's hard to complain when you're at an ocean where you can just see the floor beneath your feet. Like the water is just absolutely stunning. We had a great time. It was very relaxing and just nice to reconnect without the kids, without the pressures of the day jobs or life, kids, sports. It was nice. We needed that time away.
Absolutely. Well, having children, I mean, because I did. I had a child at a very young age, and don't get me wrong, I didn't take full responsibility for the child for a while. I was there in the beginning, and then when we separated, I became a full-blown alcoholic, is what I became. But that's a whole nother story. But after about 5 years or so, I was really involved in his life again. When you're doing that, especially like when Drew moved in with Jody and I, there was no time to be yourself. There was no time to be like your adult version of you, you're constantly thinking about those children, and it's the most important thing in your life. Having that develop. Now, if it's not too personal, how old were you again when you had your first child?
I was 18.
Yeah. You don't even know who the fuck you are when you're 18 years old.
Nope.
Yeah. You've done quite a bit of developing. That's an amazing story. So,
Thank you.
when you're in the Bahamas, you're talking about the water, and did you do the skinny dipping thing? And did you get out there?
No, I did not do the skinny dipping thing. Whether or not we will admit, and God, I hope my aunt is not watching this show right now because she's super involved in the community. So, Amy, if you're listening, like earmuffs. But, I will say that he wanted to take advantage of our balcony in the hotel, and I didn't tell him no. So, there's at least that.
we
Not
I
enough private beach for skinny dipping, though.
That is fantastic. They offer these services. Now, I've read about these in books, but I've never been to the Bahamas. They offer these things where you can actually have like dinner like out on the beach, and they have like a table set up with. Did you do anything like that?
So we had that booked, right? Prepaid for all of it, and it rained the whole time. So everything that we had planned to do out on the beach, that private, fancy, romantic dinner, we still got to do it, but it was just up in our room, which was still nice. They still had a private waiter come in. I mean, the food was amazing. I'm a total foodie, but it was amazing. And it was still nice, private, romantic. But outside of that, I mean, all the excursions, the land tours, everything they had to cancel because the weather was so bad. So it was basically being trapped in the four walls of your hotel room or at the bar. And we took advantage of the bar. So,
Well, Jody and I's first big trip like that, we went to Rome and Italy, and
oh,
we planned it it took about 2 years of planning. That's a lot of money. And especially this was a decade ago or more. We were broke kids. It took a lot of planning, but we pulled it off. And we decided we wanted to go in the wintertime, in February specifically, because neither one of us really like hot weather. The Bahamas may not be the place for me. We didn't want to be walking around in the Mediterranean just burning up while we were walking around these sites. We even went to the point where my wife is incredibly intelligent. I'm a freaking idiot. She's really smart. So she actually played our tour guide. We didn't get like guided tours or anything. She was our tour
mhm,
guide. She'd never been to Rome, but she had a minor in antiquities studies, and she'd wanted to go her entire life. So we rented an apartment for a week, like a B&B thing. B&B wasn't a thing
mhm.
back then. We rented an apartment in a tower, which was fucking great. And the plan was she was going to take us around Rome for a week. And this was, so we get there and we get out of the airport, and we'd planned to have somebody pick us up, and they're late. And there's like, I don't know, maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches of snow on the ground, and everybody is just freaking the fuck out. It turns out it doesn't snow in Rome, ever. It's like every 20 or 30 years, they get a little bit of snow. I'm from Ohio. That's where we live currently. It's like an inch and a half of snow. That ain't nothing. Where do you live?
Right. I'm in Texas right now. So I get the freak out over the inch,
It
inch
would,
and a half of snow.
it's
I'm not
like that.
originally from here, so I laugh at the people around here.
Where are you from originally?
We were born and raised in Southern California, but I grew up a lot of my life in Indiana, Ohio, Michigan. So
Yeah,
I'm used to
yeah,
I
you get
it,
it.
an inch and a half is nothing.
No, that's like, oh, it's going to be a good day. I don't even really have to scrape. I can just, the windshield wipers will take care of this shit. So I, everything was shut down in Rome for the first 2 days. The first night, we ended up eating in a bowling alley. We are in the food mecca. We're in fucking Rome, and we eat at a bowling alley because it's the only thing open. We still have never seen the inside of the Colosseum. We couldn't get in. They shut it down. It's too icy.
Wow.
People might die. So that was our big first vacation, and the weather just didn't quite cooperate. But what I found years later, this is my experience, is that I never forget going to Rome, Italy anyways, but I will never forget seeing Italians making snowmen in the middle of the street, the entire place just shut down, eating in a bowling alley the first night. You never forget those things. You will never forget And because of that weather, you will treasure it. I'm assuming you took plenty of pictures, right?
We did. We did. And, you know, weather aside, and it was a great trip and exactly what we had hoped it would be, to reconnect with each other with no kids. You know, the weather wasn't going to change that for us. And sometimes it's about the experience, not the plans.
Mm-hmm. See? Yeah. And so far, I don't know you from Adam, although I kind of feel like I do already. But so far from an 18-year-old having a child to there, just being able to have that experience, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank
Now,
you.
the
It's
question
quite a
is,
journey.
are you going to incorporate that couple that's been around a long time into a story? Being able to incorporate them falling back in love, as you might say.
That's a great question. Not currently in my plans. Some of my writing has been based off of real life experiences, which I know sounds weird. I don't write myself into the stories, I write the people in my life into my stories. So any character that you come across, especially in my debut series, if you know me or my family or my friends, you could easily pick them out without, you know, name swapping in your head. But it would be interesting to kind of write almost like a light second chance trope with an existing couple.
Hmm. Well, not a lot of that is done in the industry. It is done. I have, I can name a couple. Casey Wells has done, but um, it's not a very regular thing. That would be considered original in this industry, and it sounds like something that you now have personal knowledge on. I was talking to a gal a couple weeks ago that said that she would hesitate before she would put some of the people in her personal life into her stories. Is that how you get revenge? Is that how you just relate to the characters? Do you actually give them their names too? Because that's fucking hilarious if you do. Tell me about your experience with that.
Um, I have never actually used character names that are the people. You know, there's only so many names in the world, though. So whether or not I have a family member that has popped up in a story or two as like a random and insignificant side character, now I have used their names, but not the same kind of character that they are in real life. Um, Definitely haven't explored the revenge aspect of it yet. Not saying that I won't, I just haven't. More so that it's just I draw character inspiration from the things and the way that I interact with people in my life, I guess is the best way to say it.
Uh-huh.
My best friend's a great example. Her and I have been friends since sixth grade, fifth, sixth grade, God, forever. Um, so I wrote her as a best friend to one of my main characters in my debut novel. And so, like, if you know her at all, it's super easy to just swap her real name with my character's name and you would have no idea.
They just line up perfectly. I use people in my family, people that I talk to in meetings, and anybody could be an inspiration for not only a voice that I use, but also the reactions and acting. When and writers, I find a lot. Maybe if I'm wrong, tell me. But the way a character reacts is it's a choice. So if I'm playing a character, if you give me a book to read as a narrator, and you have a main character, he will react differently to all the other characters around him based on his character's life's experience. And most of that has to be made up in the actor's head, just as most of the characters themselves have to be made up in your head. A lot of it doesn't actually hit the paper, but you know, Charlie fucking hates chocolate. It doesn't matter. He just goddamn hates chocolate. That's all there is to it. You haven't written it down on the page, but when another character has a chocolate bar in front of him, he might react differently and be a little bit meaner because of it. Now, that's a lame goddamn example. I'm sorry, I could have come up with something better. But the fact is that these are choices that we make as artists in our head. And oftentimes it
Yep.
doesn't actually make it on the page. These are just defined in your head. I use my family, my friends, the people that I talk to around me as inspiration for those sorts of things. Do you map out those relationships? Do you map out any of that shit, or are you just like a pantser? I think they call it.
I'm a plotter in denial or a pantster in denial. I plants. So I and if you've ever, well, I know not you because you're not a super big social media fan, you know, especially TikTok, but I do post a lot about my writer's journey and how I will plot something out and my characters will burn it to the ground as we go. So it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter what I plan. And I've learned to stop trying that. So I'll just write out some bullet points, some minor character descriptions if I'm super married to a name or an age, and I'll kind of keep track of it in a spreadsheet. And as they burn things to the ground, I just change it in there so I can keep track of stuff. But so very rarely do I ever start with a character that makes it all the way to the end of the book.
Mm-hmm.
The first and only time was my debut novel, and ever since then, it's been quite a journey. Uh, my second book, that one went through 7 versions, completely trashed, 140,000 words, just lit on fire. I changed the main character names, their jobs, and the tropes 6 times before I finished that book.
That had to be
It's
one
just
of those.
they wanted a different story to tell every time I sat
Well,
down.
and I'm sure that you were like, wow, can I do it again? You write your first book, you spend as long on it as you fucking want, and it's a hit, it's a success, and then you're questioning, can I make that magic happen again? How did I even do it in the first place? And I'm sure you were second guessing yourself. That's not uncommon. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
That
yeah.
that imposter syndrome hits real hard with book 2, but
Hmm.
it's been a journey, and I've learned a lot. I will have to say I've met some fantastic authors in the community who have been so gracious in providing advice and being an ear to listen to. And my PA Charity, she's a fantastic sounding board for me, because sometimes you just need to verbally get it out. She laughs because I'll send her voice memos through our private message on Facebook because I'll be driving home from work and moments of genius will strike me. And so I'll just send her voice messages like, can you save this as my note taking system until I get back to a laptop?
She is charity has turned out to be a blessing to a lot of people. And I know that see now Tracy is my, you could call her personal assistant, but I call her my lovely TNA. And I'm not sure if they met at GRL this last year or how they hooked up, but Charity has been basically a booking agent for Talk to the Beard now for like 2 months. It's been amazing. She's like, I got all these authors. Let's bring them on, and it's been a wonderful resource. And I know Tracy's been using her with other questions too. I give Trace the weirdest tasks sometimes. There's a story about an apple pie that was supposed to go to Canada somewhere in there. But yeah, how long have you been with Charity now?
I'm gonna get this wrong and she's gonna yell at me for it later. I don't know, probably since October last year, I think
Okay.
September, October timeline of last year. So not too long, but she's been a godsend since I brought her on, and she's an absolute joy to work with. Although
I
now I feel like I should be giving her some crazy tasks.
do it. I'm telling you, do it. It's the red M&M saying. Have you ever heard that one before?
I have
It's
not.
okay. So I come, not that I know these guys, but I was a musician in a former life, and then I turned into an audio engineer, and that's how I got into narrating audiobooks. I was an audiobook producer first, but as musicians, sometimes when we book nightclubs, we have a rider. RIDER. It's basically we give this to the
Mhm.
nightclub, and the nightclub is supposed to provide these certain things. And some of it's like, this is how much money you're going to pay me, and that sort of shit. But musicians are notorious for making weird requests. I think it was Van Halen's, and it was Sammy Hagar. So Van Hagar. But anyways, his was red M&Ms. He wanted a bowl of M&Ms, but he wanted them to pick out all the red M&Ms. Now, he did this for a reason, and his reason was if he went into the room and he noticed that there were red M&Ms in the bowl, he knew they didn't fucking read his rider, and it was going to be a rough night. But if he walked in and there were no red M&Ms, he knew they read his rider, and everything was going to be taken care of. It was a beautiful thing. So you need to get her to get you a big bowl of M&Ms and get all the red ones out, or some shit like that.
I will.
Anyways,
I'm gonna gauge my group for something fun to toss at her when we head out to GRL this year. That
are you
should be
doing
entertaining.
the GRL in Virginia this year?
I'm not attending as an author. I'm attending as a reader. I say all the time I'm a reader first before I'm an author, and I've never had the opportunity to experience a conference like this, and So I thought it would just be a great opportunity for me to do that and kind of get a feel for it before I, take that next step in attending as an author.
It's a big deal doing it as an author. And I know a lot of people that do exactly what you're doing, and I think you do just fine. I mean, you can walk around and meet all the people all day long. Is this your first one, or were you there last year? Have you been to GRLs before?
This will be my first one.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, don't go as an author. Not your first year. Just yeah, you're doing the right thing. And especially it will be sensory overload is what's going to happen, and you're going to meet you're going to meet your peeps. They're all
Yep.
all of them. It's an amazing deal. Well, I look forward to seeing you there. I'm going to be there, and quite a few of the other narrators. Do you know Nick J. Russo? I know he's going to be there. I
I'm
think that
familiar with his work, but I've not met him.
you'll get to meet him. I think that Greg's going to be there. Greg Tremblay or Greg Bodo, as the case may be. Kurt Graves is normally there, and a few other, and of course every author under the sun. Patty Logan, you got to meet
No.
Patty Logan. Have you met Patty yet?
Okay. No.
She's the best. She's fucking fantastic. And Kelly Fox, of course, you got to meet her. But we'll get you in. It's going to be wonderful.
Well, I
So
warned Kelly if I don't get to meet her at GRL, I do live super close to her, and we're just going to have to plan something out here in Texas if we can't swing GRL. So I'm very excited to meet Kelly in person.
she is a force of nature. And there's so many of them. Like Tay's going to be there. Victoria Sue's going to be there. She's freaking awesome. Casey Wells, I believe, is coming in from Britain again this year. She was like a regular
Oh,
every
wow.
freaking year. There's so many people. Plus, my best friend Anna Bird's going to be there. There's going to be so many. It's going to be a blast. And
I'm
in case,
excited. It's going to be a great time.
yeah, the hotel thing is kind of locked down now. I think we're going to be doing a B&B this year, which will be just fine. But the hotel thing right now, it happens every year like this where it's completely booked out and you can't get shit there. And if you wait until like the month prior, a lot of times rooms start opening up because people have canceled. So then you can actually get a room. But anyways, I have to ask you because we're supposed to be like, talking about books and shit. What are you writing right now? What are you working on?
So fun. I'm working on a super secret project.
Hey,
Um,
cool. I can't wait to hear
what
about that.
am I allowed to share about it? It's a shared world, and I will be releasing in September. I think that's about all I can share.
Are you are
Um,
you are you writing in Vino and Veritas? Are you writing in that world? Because that world
no,
has kept narrators employed for the last year and a half. It's amazing. They're on book 18,000 or something. Okay, so it's not
I
that one.
know, and that world is wonderful. No, that's not that world. It's a new world creation.
Nice.
Um, let's see. I can say that it's a daddy boy trope that I'll be writing. And that's really it. So, and I may get in trouble for sharing even that much.
It's
Um,
no. Are you
so that's
are
actually I just finished the one that's releasing this July. And so I'm like between projects kind of. I know that this is the next one I'm working on. So
are you into the daddy boy thing? Is that normally a trope that you write? Did you pick that or?
normal that I write. No. So I started with just contemporary, roommates to lovers, friends to lovers, office romances, and kind of built in kind of that baby world of just soft and sweet and tender and not a whole lot of kink. I mean, it's explicit romance, but it wasn't kink based. But as a reader, I like the kink. I just like it all. And I got into the daddy boy tropes for a while, and I kept wanting to read a certain kind of character, and I would get recommendations, but there just wasn't a lot. If for littles in the age play where the little was actually the older of the two MCs, and that was just something I was looking for. So there's a few books out there, but not a lot. And so I just said, well, the best advice I was ever given as an author is if I want to read it, I need to write it. Um, so I did. It was a self-indulgent project, and I had so much fun with it that it kind of just spawned this world of kink for me. Um, and I love that I'm not locking myself into a box of subgenres, and I can only write this as my brand. And because it's not me, I read everything, I want to write everything, and plot bunnies hit me a mile a minute. So um, it was my release in November was kind of that first. I wrote age play and regression a little bit, and my release that's coming out in July is MMM, and it features a wide variety of kink, which is great. I have a newbie exploring the world, and so he was a lot of fun to write. So much fun. And then this project that I'm working on is another daddy boy, and it's giving me an opportunity to explore just kind of a little bit of a different side to it. So I don't know if this is something I'll be staying in as far as the subgenre is concerned, but it is something that I'm enjoying right now, and as long as writing's fun, I'm going to continue doing it.
When you're passionate about it, you can tell just by the smile on your face when you're talking about it. There's a body language too. You're kind of just looking off into the distance and a little smile, and you're
I
enjoying
do.
it.
I
That's
love just
wonderful.
thinking about them because they're vocal in my head right now, and it's like, hey, we're talking to John, not writing right now.
No, that's wonderful. I love it. Now, so you're not allowed to say the name of this project or anything, but we know it's coming up, and
No,
obviously you have a
not yet.
Facebook group. Yeah, it's no big deal. Now, you've been wonderful, by the way. Thank you very much. You said you were
Thank
nervous in the
you.
beginning, but fuck no, you've been great. I have missed a lot of comments in the comments today, even more than usual, and my apologies, kids. But if you could do me a favor when we get off the air in the next day or so, if you can get into the comments and answer some questions. There have been a few, and I know I missed them rolling by. And I'm sorry about that, guys. It is what it is. I was enjoying the company. Um, I will be sending you the YouTube link, like I told you about before we went on the air. This will be on YouTube in the next 24 hours, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Well,
This
thanks for having
is
me, Jonna. This was great.
Yeah, no, this you also need to tell your son thank you for letting you borrow his headset. I really do appreciate that. It
I
makes my
will.
job a lot easier. And this is the easiest part of the show. All you got to do is wave bye to the camera. Here you go. See you guys. Love you.
Bye, everyone.